Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Vision 6 Power Session. Ensure brand voice and consistency with message approvals. My name's Andy. I'm the product trainer here at Vision 6 in Brisbane. I'll be taking you through today's Power Session. So what is the message approvals function, firstly, and then we'll go through how to set it up. So it applies to both SMS and email messages, so both, which is great. And it means that only approved messages can be sent from the system. So it's a great little way to sort of, ensure brand consistency and just make sure that the tone and the things that are spoken about within the message, email or SMS, meet any brand guidelines and that kind of thing before the message is sent. So it's great for larger organizations or government departments where there's a little bit of extra control within the messages, or perhaps a specific team member or, say, the marketing team needs to have a look through and just check and approve any messages before they get sent out from the system. Because at the end of the day, if you've got, the permission or ability to send on behalf of someone potentially quite important within the organization, the CEO or something like that, then in some cases, it's good to have that sort of extra barrier or layer there in between just having anyone go into Vision 6 and send a message. You can have that approvals functionality sitting over the top there, which is a great little add-on. And it's been requested many times by our different customers and things over the years, and happy to say that we now have that particular function available to you. So let's go and have a look at how to set it up. So today in this session, what we're going to cover is the actual setup process. So how do you switch this function on, and what sort of different parameters do you have that can be configured or set up within the system? So what options do we have available to us? Then we'll go through how would we request approval. So pretend I'm someone within the team building an email. In my view, the email is finished, ready to go, and I'm just requesting approval from a different team member to say, yep, this is good to go. So we'll have a look at that. Also, how to cancel an approval request. So let's say you have sent one off to say, yep, it's finished. And then as you're sort of reviewing it, you spot a little typo and you go, oh, hang on, I just want to fix that. How do I cancel the approval request? So we'll go through that as well. And then last of all, we'll actually pretend to be a message approver as well. So a message approver is someone who is allowed to approve messages. This could be someone in the marketing team or the manager or the CEO or something like that. So there's also a different permission for those who are allowed to approve or disapprove a message. So we'll go through how to do that in case you're one of the people delegated with the task of being allowed to approve messages. So we'll show you that as well. Now let's take a look at how this particular function works. So I've just got sort of a standard Vision 6 account in here. We've got, the different email messages and contacts and that kind of thing. But what we'll do now is go into the settings area, which is the account area on the top right here, and we'll go into approvals and actually turn this function on. So there's a new setting or section here at the top left in the settings area called approvals. And we'll jump into here. So here we have the new message approvers section. Now, the first thing we need to do is choose which of our users are allowed to approve emails and SMSs. So in other words, who's sort of going to be managing this function and who will the requests go to when someone says, I'd like to, send this email. Is it good to go? Can you approve it for me? So I'm just going to tick. I've got a couple of different users here. I'm going to tick on Carolyn and Jenna there. I'll tick those two people and make them designated approvers. Now, if I wanted to, I could make myself an approver. So I'm currently logged into Vision 6 as this training account here, but I won't do that because if I were to do that, I wouldn't be able to show you what it looks like from an interface point of view because I'll be able to self-approve everything. So yes, to answer one of those common questions, if you are a message approver, can you self-approve? Yes, you can. You can approve your own and anyone else's if you are an approver. So yeah, for now, I'm just going to switch on the, I'm just going to tell the system that Carolyn and Jenna are the two people that are allowed to approve messages. Now, there's one little housekeeping section here, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. So this is sort of telling the system, okay, well, if there's already messages in Vision 6, and unless you're a brand new Vision 6 account, you will have messages in already, what should the system do about these? Should they all be marked from now on as being approved, or should we just leave them alone? And if someone wants to resend or reuse an old email, they'll have to go through the approvals process again. So it's kind of telling the system, okay, from this point forward, how are we going to treat all the existing emails and SMSs in the platform? Are we going to mark them as being pre-approved so that people can start using them straight away? Should we assume that anything in the past was okay? Or does every single message need to be approved one by one before it can be used? So I'm going to tick the option to approve all existing messages, because in my case, that would make life a lot easier. But have a think about what you might do in that regard. Would it be quite annoying to not have that turned on or turn it on? So see what you think in there and adjust accordingly. Then you push the big blue button here to turn it on. Now this function is now enabled. So you can turn it off at any time. Keep in mind that only users with certain levels of permission can turn message approvals on or off. So you kind of might think, oh, why do we put this function in here if anyone can turn it off? Not the case. Only certain users of certain permissions can actually switch this function on and off. I'll go through that at the end as to what types of users they are. So yeah, the function is now turned on. These two users here, Jenna and Carolyn, can now approve messages. I'm not logged in as one of those two users. So if I make an email now, I can't self-approve, which is good. That's what we want the system to do. We want people to request approval before messages go out. That's the whole point of how that works. Keep in mind, though, that if, say, Jenna leaves or we have a new person coming on board, perhaps another manager in another team, and they're allowed to approve messages too, you can at any time come in here and just update that list and add new staff to it and remove staff, that kind of thing. So as long as they're users in Vision 6, you can make them approvers of messages. Excellent. The function is now turned on, and I did tell Vision 6 to pre-approve any existing messages, so we won't have that hassle when we try and send a newsletter to someone that I made 2 years ago. I don't have to request approval again. From the system point of view, I've got them all pre-approved now. But from this point forward, anything I build or copy or edit needs to be approved. Excellent. So that's the first step there, which is the setup process. So now we'll have a look at, let's just say we want to build an email message or edit an existing one and then request approval again. So I'm just going to copy this newsletter here and pretend that I'm making my March 2023 e-newsletter like that. So I've got a new newsletter in there. I can go in and I might go and make some edits. So let's put in a new link here that says, let's go store map or something like that. So I've now changed this email. I've added something new to it. Perhaps I might also go in and adjust the banner image to this, this Donut Club one here, for example. So I've made some changes to this email now. I'm just going to save it so I don't lose the changes, of course. So excellent, that's now good to go. So let's say this email was okay, and I'd like to request approval now, because you'll see there's no send button because this message is not approved. I can't send it, I need to get approval first. And we'll see here some new little statuses that appear. This is showing me that the message is unlocked, which means I can edit it. So it's not locked for editing, and it has not been submitted for approval yet. So I can continue working on this and move things around, rearrange it, and just adjust the message as required until I'm good to go. Now, let's say this is all good and I would like to request approval because I'd like to send it out this afternoon. So I come over here and press approvals. Now, in this particular section here, it's a new little window that's come up, and we can just have a look at the different parts of the message again, give it a bit of a review. There's a mobile icon there, so I can check a few things. I can go into text mode, all the usual tools, just to sort of do a bit of a check. And if I want to, I can add a comment in here as well, so that anyone who's approving the message will see that. But here on the Approvals tab, I can now request approval, and I can choose which of my colleagues who are marked as being approvers, that they're those two people I set up at the start. I can now choose which of them I would like to request approval from. Now, the good thing about this is that any of these two users or any of your designated approvers can approve a message. It doesn't just have to be Carolyn if that's who I choose. However, the notification and email requesting approval will go to the person you select. So if I select Carolyn, Carolyn will get a notification and an email. However, if Jenna logs in and notices that there's a message waiting for approval, Jenna could, in theory, still approve this message. So that's good if one person's away and you requested approval from the person who's away. Any of your other approvers can actually approve this message. You might just have to tell them, where to find it or what it's called. We can pop a comment in there as well. Is this okay to go? It includes the most recent edits that you asked for, something like that. Cool. And then we can send a request to that person. And it's now going to put a notification email to Carolyn, and also email and in Vision 6 as well. And it'll show that there for Carolyn to come in and approve. So just going back to that newsletter now, if I have a look at it, you will see that it is locked for editing and approval is pending. So I can't make any changes to this message anymore because it is locked for approval. Because, and if you think about it, that makes sense, because if you've requested approval, why would you then go and change it again? Because the approval process is going to be out of date. So that's sort of how that works there. But let's say you did want to cancel an approval request, just in case you have found a typo and you want to make that change. You can go back into approvals again, approval tab, and cancel the request. So you can push that button and it will disappear from Carolyn's dashboard or the notification will disappear. The email notification that went out originally won't disappear because it's an email, it's been sent, but a second email will be sent to Carolyn saying that the approval request has been cancelled. So Carolyn will know that you don't need approval anymore. So that's how that works. You can also change who you've requested approval from. So if Carolyn is away, you could request approval from Jenna instead. So you've got some options there as well. But yeah, I guess the point of the approvals process is that the message is locked for editing when it's sitting in a pending approval state, which makes sense, I guess, because you don't want to have changes go through after. Now, the last step, let's pretend I am Jenna or Carolyn, the approver, and I would like to approve a message. Or maybe Carolyn has been really busy in meetings all day, and I just sort of put a bit of a chat message into Teams or Google Chat and say, "Hey, Carolyn, just letting you know I've got an email waiting for approval. Could you pop in there and have a quick look and see if it's okay? I just need to send it out urgently." So you could send a message. But Carolyn, of course, will get an email and a notification anyway. So let's now log in as Carolyn. So let's pretend I'm now Carolyn. And I've now logged into Vision 6 as Carolyn. You can see here my name is at the top. So essentially the way I did this is I'm just logged in another browser window. That's how I am being two people at once. But let's say I'm Carolyn. I've logged into Vision 6. You'll notice that here we've got this new little bell center that appears in the top right, and there's a 1 sitting on there. So we can open that up, and it's showing us that we've got a notification. There's an approval request sitting in there for us. Me being Carolyn, I would have also received an email to take me straight to the message that is requiring approval. So that's the other great thing. As someone who's been given this permission to approve things, whenever I get a request, I get an email as well. So I don't have to keep checking Vision 6. Click the link, I'm straight in after logging in, and then I can go and approve that. So let's say we want to have a look at the message that training account has built, and we want to see what it looks like. So this is the actual email here. I jump into approvals, and we can see that this is the actual message here. We've got some information that was provided by the system as well. So we've got the subject line, all that kind of thing is all in there as well. If there were any comments added, that they would be there as well. In case you're wondering, where did the information go that I typed in when I was being the training person? Where did that little 2 lines of text go? That would have been sent to me in the email that I received. So that's where that went. But yeah, I'm now looking at the message, and you'll see that I've got some conditions in here as well. So the great thing is that this actually works with our conditional content feature. So in case you don't know, just a quick overview, conditional content lets you change parts of an email message based on your contact criteria. So this email here actually has a condition in it, which means that our gluten-free readers are going to see something else in our newsletter based on their status of having a dietary of gluten-free. So if I was approving this message and this function wasn't here for me to be able to see these conditions, I would never be able to see or check or approve what our gluten-free readers are seeing. So the great thing is that even though we've got conditional content, which is making this a dynamic email where bits of it are changing and that kind of thing, I can still see what all of those conditions are. Because as an approver, it's important that I see every different version of this email that's going out so that I can approve the entire email, not just the bits that I can see. Similarly, down here in this email, we've got a map of all of our stores, and it too has conditions. You can see because it's got this the marching ants going around the edges there. So that's telling me there's a condition there. So I can click onto that and then view what the conditions of that block are. Again, important as an approver that I can make sure I approve the entire email and all of its different variants that might go out. So great little feature there to be able to see that as well. Once I've checked that and everything is okay, I can click approved or not approved. Regardless of what I choose, the person who created this email will get a notification. I can put comments in there if I want to, but let's approve this one, mark it as approved. That's now ticked. And now I can go back to my dashboard and continue doing what I was doing as Carolyn. Taking my Carolyn hat off for a second and becoming training account again, I'm now the other person. You'll see if I come into my Vision 6 screen here, I've got a bell center notification that says Carolyn has approved my email a minute ago. So again, that information is flowing through to my dashboard. I know when things are occurring based on the little bell center here. And similarly, if I were to check my emails now, I will also have an email from the system saying that Carolyn's approved my email. Fantastic. So it's a great little way to see all that information flow through. If we now go into the messages area, go into our edit for our newsletter, you'll see the send button is now available because this message has been approved by Carolyn. So I can now go and send it, which is great. That's the whole process, sort of showing you how that all works. It is marked as being locked. So I can no longer edit this message anymore because it's been locked. However, I still can. I can go back and go in and just continue to edit the message here. That would then unapprove it. I can make my changes. I do need to request approval again. Carolyn would then approve it. I'd come back in and I can send it. So don't stress if you spot an issue or if it changes again after it's been approved. You'll just have to go through the approval cycle again, but it can be done and it is pretty easy. So just like anything that has an approval with a similar process, be it emails or SMS or anything else in the world, you know, I've seen this sort of functionality used with documents and sharing and that kind of thing as well. So same kind of thing. That's just the way it works with the platform there. One last thing that you can also see is two new columns have been added for you in the messages area. So normally this is where you'd see the name of the message and the subject and who made it, all that kind of stuff's in here. But we've got two new columns in this table as well, which is great. I'll turn those on, these two here. And I'll just scroll so we can see them. It shows you the status of the email and who approved it. So that's now available on all the messages areas, including all your subfolders here. There's two new columns there just to show you that vital information, which is good. So technically a user, you know, say I am Carolyn, I'm an approvals user, I could technically come in here once a day, look for any messages that are not approved, and then quickly sort of work through those and approve them. So I don't necessarily have to go through the bell center and look at each one individually. I might sort of use this screen to see what is outstanding from an approvals point of view. So that can make it a bit faster as well. Excellent. So some frequently asked questions relating to you know, the different types of things that come up. I can see some questions are coming in the chat already, which is great. So I'll have a look at those in a tick. So do have a look at the actual, do type in your questions as well if you can think of any of those for those listening to the live session. But some popular frequently asked questions that come up is who can use it? So this particular function is available to our business and pro marketer plans at the time of recording. So if you're on business or pro marketer, then this function is available to you to use. If it's not in your account already, I believe it is rolled out. It should be there any day now. So yeah, you can definitely use it. In terms of user levels, who is allowed to turn the approvals process on and off? It's the highest two levels of users that we have in Vision 6, which is the owner user or the full access user. So in your Vision 6 area here, in the admin area, you've got your user section. Anyone who is a owner, which is the highest level, or a full access, which is the level underneath, they will have permission to turn this function on or off if you do want to start using it. What happens to messages that are sent by automations or the API? How are they affected by this process? No, so messages that are sent by API or automations, they don't need approval. So that's just another thing, because the system is sending those messages, those don't need approval. So that's just something to be aware of there. Third question, can any designated approver approve any message? Yes. So as I sort of explained before, even though I'm requesting approval from Carolyn in my example, Jenna, who's another approver, could, in theory, very easily approve any message as well. So it's great if a person's away. It doesn't really matter. The other person can approve it too, as long as they're allowed to, which is great. How do I know when a message is waiting for approval? So say I am Carolyn or Jenna, I am a message approver. How do I know when a message is awaiting approval? Again, I'll receive an email. So Carolyn will get an email. And also when I log into Vision 6, the Bell Center will show a reminder here as a little task waiting for action. So that's how I know. Can I edit a message that's pending approval or one that has already been approved? Yes, just keep in mind that you will need to cancel the approval request, make your changes, and then re-request approval, which is expected behavior. I guess that's sort of how this thing would work or how it does work. So that sort of follows that process as well. Well, thanks very much for joining today's Vision 6 Power Session. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've got some more coming up soon. Thanks very much again for your time. My name is Andy. Have a great day. Thank you.